How are you? I am well. I'm well. I was just worried yesterday because I woke up and I had a sore throat. And I was afraid that it meant that, not that I had the coronavirus necessarily, but that I was going to get sick, which is not an ideal situation right now for my colleagues, for myself, for the ER, for me. I didn't know what you're thinking. Is he growing a mustache? And the answer is yes, I am. I know you're also thinking, it looks ridiculous. And my answer to that is, it's a mustache. That's the point. But I'm growing a particular kind of mustache. One that only goes to about here. Because now at work, I've got to wear a fucking mask all the time. And a visor. Everybody does. Because we're just think we're going to start to see the first kind of wave of cases that we were anticipating. But because you were doing what you're doing, you gave us this time. So we were able to train in PPE. We're able to, shuffle some spaces in the hospital to give a thoroughfare for the people who are homeless, who aren't connected to a community any longer and need places to sleep. And we are waiting. We're all waiting. The fear, a little bit, fear, is that people are starting to get a bit laissez-faire about this. And we've seen the police have are kind of who this news comes from, at least to me, is that people were out yesterday in a way that they hadn't seen up until now. So I don't know if that is the consequence of people are cooped up, or if it was Doug Ford's announcement here in Ontario that essential businesses or essential services were open, but there's like a list of like a million things. So people are like, oh, go to Shoppers. Or if it's the people who newly returned, who aren't really kind of locked into the lockdown groove. I think it's probably a combination of all three. But I was a bit perturbed's not right. I'm not angry at anybody. I'm just nervous that people aren't. This is still like early middle game. I'm talking to friends of mine in the ER and we're like, June? Hey, maybe sooner. If we do it sooner, if cases start to nosedive, then, forget being NBA champions. We have a much larger crown to wear. Each of you. Not just in Toronto, but in Alberta, where my heart and my family is too. Each of you wears that crown. Because we've done this in a very unique way. We didn't, our approach to testing, which I'm going to come to in a second, because I know there's a lot of questions about that and how different it is from Korea. But we've done it in a different way if we stay fastidious to it. So last night, the ER was pretty mellow. There was the usual kind of overdoses and anxiety and sickness and was a trauma. But there was an opportunity for us to practice this PPE thing we went through it once with my friend Amy. And putting on all this stuff. So for us, it means putting on all this stuff is mask, goggles. No. Mask, bonnet, visor, or goggles, visor, gear, gloves, booties. You're all clean, so the order doesn't really matter so much as when you're in the room and you take it off, in order after you've got contaminated, that you don't touch anything, you don't touch yourself. And what happens is you don't like gear on. It's so claustrophobic. It's so tough, and you must do the most critical thing. Intubate someone who can't breathe. So you have an MD in the room who's prepared to do it, but all the stuff, fogging their goggles and their visor and sweating and can't hear so well. And someone outside the room who's just watching them like a hawk, saying, okay, good, you're doing good. Or like, nah, you gotta, take your gloves off again. And so you feel better after you do it, but realizing that this is going to be part of the jam from now on is a sinking feeling. So those of you who are with us, please continue to lean into this time. Try to make it something you're going to miss. Now, some of that I know is being comfortable with uncertainty. I too am uncertain. Do I want to do this job where I can't see people's faces? I can't see the faces of my friends? I'm constantly worried about getting sick, and people are going to be like winnowing down. Is that what I want to do? So there's reflection time here for us, and there is a chance for us to make the most of this, whatever that looks like. For the time being, that's going to be social distancing, physical distancing, whatever you want to call it, as long as we know what we're talking about. Both things are probably cool. Wash your hands like a boss, look out for the vulnerable, and just kind of lock in. I would say hardcore, not this weekend, but next weekend, we should really know a lot about how this is going to play out for us. And until then, it's just kind of committing, sighing, and committing. Someone asked me to talk about curves and how Canada's trend seems to be starting to move from doubling every 5 days, to doubling every 10 days. Wow. Ontario, we've got more cases every day. So that's real. And the trick is we've kind of really shifted our testing away from screening. We were screening travelers, right? So you're picking up more or less the number of cases in a population, because it was, until there was community transmission, that was a screening thing for us. And then once we missed some people on the screening, then community transmission happened. So that's probably where the majority of cases are going to come from now. So there's some suggestion that we need to just scale up testing. We need to catch all of these cases, which definitely we do. Definitely we do. If it was as simple as something you could do on your phone, we would nail this. Because people just want to know. And people are just so much more careful when they know. Right now, my advice is when you see people who have an illness like this, like COVID, you say, just pretend you have it. And they're like, I don't know. I don't feel like pretending. Okay, I'll try, but there's my actual life, so why don't I just live that? However, of course, if I could say you do have it, then they don't have to pretend anymore. And it becomes real. So everyone wants to move there. We understand that pressure. But for us, the big thing is knowing we're going to miss people no matter how we screen. So if everyone just does their level best to stay clean and separated, then the cases are going to drop no matter what. Two other things. One is we jam the testing facilities. Now, those people are not just testing for COVID. We haven't had a chance to scale up lab technicians to massive scale. Those people are testing your mother for, sepsis. And people still get TB. So you can't just forget everything else and give people an answer that they want. So there's that limit. There's the tests themselves. We're starting to make them, but the production is not as fast as the cases are climbing. And last, we have to preserve PPE. We go through so much PPE. I go through so much PPE. And now that everyone's masked, it's even more. And that's not just us. That is the little hospital you pass through on the way to the cottage. That is everybody's putting in an order. I need it now. I need as much as I can possibly get. So with supply chains, as at their skeleton crew, and with this reality, then that's why we haven't been able to move to more widespread screening. So it's just more or less a matter of the testing. Is anything... PPE is personal protective equipment. For those people who asked. What other changes have you seen in the ER? Well, what's great about my hospital in this city is there is this continued commitment to addressing the needs of vulnerable populations. So we've created, for lack of a better word, a kind of shelter space in the ER to house people temporarily before they can be safely seconded somewhere where they are unlikely to infect someone else. All of us are really worried about this population in particular because if it flares there, then boom, it just overwhelms our capacity, because a lot of times these people have few social supports, they're marginalized from healthy food, and have coincident illnesses. So they can get sick really fast. And of course, we treat them like they're the president of the Royal Bank. But, give them everything we can. But that just means that they are a population of people for whom we are particularly focused right now. And our priority is in keeping them safe. But good news is that we've created a bit of space for them in the ER, and hopefully you're going to have a parallel pathway for people whose primary problem is homelessness. Which is great. I talked to a woman last night who came into the ER with a non-related complaint to COVID, or what we call febrile respiratory illness, or FRI. Non-related COVID complaint. And she said, I'm so excited. I got an apartment. She was homeless. I got an apartment because they don't want us in shelters anymore. And I was like, that's what it took? Wow. There was a place for you to go. But now the people are afraid. Anyway, whatever it takes, right? So I think that's some pieces of good news. One last clinical thing for those of you who are motivated in that way. Traumas for us are really changed. Like, numbers are down. I haven't looked at overdose numbers. I've scanned the board every day, and I think overdoses are down. So this kind of leveling out. And I don't know if it's social connections are stronger and those things are protective. Social connections despite the distance. I don't know if meaning that either you're isolated from the bad influence or you're just put in more close contact with people who are curious about how you're doing. That gives you a sense of position in a world that can seem positionless. So you're kind of held. And that gives us the safety, a feeling of safety and security and love. And perhaps from that place, it's less common to need to either distract ourselves or to look for satisfaction somewhere else. So those things are down, and that's cool. What it looks like in practice is in the trauma room now, everyone's wearing all the stuff. Patient can't see us, we can't see them. No nonverbal cues, no smiling. I don't know how much they can get my vibe. Or my colleagues can. And we're just wondering, is this the way it's going to be always? That's I didn't expect that. So we're kind of fitting into our natural position. That, and we're terrified of getting sick because of our colleagues. You drop 5 people down and it's like, can you come back in like 5 hours from now? So we don't want to get there. So everything you do to separate, wash, never touch your face with your hands, is going to push us a little bit closer to keeping on top of this. So we're really, really, really grateful for that. I don't think that there's anything else I really wanted to come up with here, except to say, if you want to drop something in the comments after, I can kind of speak to it. All right, I alluded to in this post, I'm kind of hypomanic. I mean, I have this energy. I don't know what to do with it. I can't dance it away, really. I can't go like cruising around with my friends late at night and check out the city. Can really get close contact with people. So I've got this, I'm kind of unmoored from routine. A routine that over, 46 years has come to fit me very well. But now it's kind of erratic. I already had an erratic job, but now I don't have anything like no gym, no frisbee. So it's kind of tough to settle. I don't know if you're feeling the same thing. So it's like a restless energy. Certainly I'm expending less energy, so I'm trying to manage that and like eating only when I'm hungry, paying attention to my body and not overeating or trying to eat my feelings. I'm trying not to get like drunk, because then that's going to make me feel sick and I won't know if I'm symptomatic, and it's important that I know very early. I don't want to be hungover. So I'm going to lean into that part of meditation that can give us a sense of rest that I actually use, and I used last night. I got home at like 3 last night. And I had a call at 10, so I had to be up early before that to prepare. So I wanted to settle. And I'll do this, I've learned to do this over the years in anticipation of a nap, of working a night shift. That's going to be the focus of our meditation. And you're lucky in this one, about halfway through at the second kind of warning bell at 20 minutes, I'm going to suggest that you kind of kick it in the most comfortable position. Not the relaxed and alert upright one we so typically assume, but kind of the quietest one, which would be no effort, lying on your back, well supported, whatever that means to you. I'm going to stay seated, so you're welcome to do that. My appointment this morning at 10 was in a current, and they wanted to talk about meditation. The two feed into each other. And they asked me what this is for, why meditation was important to me, or why it's become the biggest part of this kind of broadcast. And I said, because it gives a space when there otherwise might be none. Space from this past that will never repeat itself. And space from anxiety and puzzling about the future. And a space in which we can grow. And for me, and for you, as it has been all our lives, a lot of that growth happens when we sleep. Or if not sleep, when we rest. That's when we recover, that's when we process, that's when we wake up renewed. So in that spirit, we're going to do that during this bit of meditation. All right. We're going to set it for 40 minutes. So wherever you are, assume for the first little bit, comfortable and upright position. We're going to start with the bell, and at about 20 minutes, we're going to transition to seated or a supine or recumbent, reclining, lying down posture. Okay. All right. First bit is we're gonna start as we always do and just kind of get concentrated. Really clock those bells. Bell. Kind of wave that it makes as it passes through our hearing. And in that space that once was, the vibrations, the sound, we appear. Whatever that is. Inhale. Feel your chest stretch. Shoulders rise just a touch. Out breath. Shoulders fall. In breath, that subtle and not always, but often available sensation of air coming into our nose. Kind of meets this stretch in our chest, and the two things kind of grow. And then at the top of the in-breath, pause. Just the stretch. Exhalation, the decline of the feeling as the muscles relax, untangle from each other, each filament. And then the flat end of the exhale. I'll rest. Inhalation, these sensations of aliveness and activity. And rising. And the exhale, the relaxation. And in that dropping of effort, let the bit of tension that you're carrying around your eyes or your jaw kind of fall with it. And on the out breath, your forehead can smooth if it's tight. Face melts. And shoulders slack. That's good. Stay with this for a couple minutes. That's good. You can just stay here, really, in this meditation or any one. And as the noticing becomes automatic, you can drop the need to, parse things out into in-breath, out-breath, and just sink into the breathing. However, we're going to practice as if you were me last night at 3 a.m. wanting to get to sleep. I just came from the busy ER and my mind was racing. So some things I'll do when that is the case is I'll add a kind of concentration tool. So maybe you've heard of box breathing or the 4-7-8 breath. We're going to work on something like box breathing. So if you're cool where you are and you feel relaxed, yet alert and concentrated, and the breath is working for you, great. If, however, you find yourself yawing back and forth and your mind is active, you can occupy it by counting. So what I mean by that is, on in-breath, as you feel the sensation, okay, you can add a count to it. In-breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. I use this when my mind is chewing on things that it doesn't really need to focus on at the time. It gives it something to occupy it. So let's do 10 rounds of that. And then give it a try to drop the counting and just return to just the sensation. The sensation of the breath entering your nose, the stretch of it as it moves your chest, Just the stretch, just the balloon-like feeling of being filled with the blue sky. Out breath, relaxation, shrinking. Pause, all quiet. So 10 rounds of counting each of those out. A count of 4, whatever works best for you and your breath. And then drop the counting. You can always pick it back up if it works better for you, or you feel it's something that is advantageous. Just give it a try and notice the difference. And there's deep learning here. Even with the counting, yourself arises. Oh, I don't like the pause at the end of the out breath. Can't make it to 4. This isn't what I want to be doing. I liked it better before. All those things. Back to the breath. Notice them. Admire them. Thank them. Back to the breath. If you feel, even despite these kind of incessant interruptions, slightly more concentrated, then drop the counting. Assume a natural rhythm and just wonder, is there a difference than the breaths you knew before you tried the counting? Maybe not. Maybe so. If your mind starts to interrupt with a, excuse me, I'm over here kind of vibe, let it do some counting. And then come back to the breath when you feel more easy. That's good. These kind of cycles are what I do when I'm feeling that high vibrational frequency. My mind is friable, meaning prone to just scattering. Ground in the breath, add something to chew on, object of focus like counting, and drop the counting. Could be any count that works for you, of course. That's just what works for me. Look, you made it to the best part. You get to lie down. Now, I can't recommend that if you're listening on your headphones at Arby's, but if you're at home, that's what I'd recommend. Now, as you transition to do that, try to keep your object of focus, your breath or the counting. So do it slowly. What people would call mindfully. Holding your awareness. And then when you've transitioned there, resume this technique. Grounded in the breath, adding the count, or leaving it out if you don't feel like it doesn't work for you. That's good. In this case, it's okay to get sleepy, and in fact, if it works for you, it would give me great joy if you fell asleep. It's okay. It's safe. It's natural. If you're awake and still practicing, then we're going to shift our focus a bit to the out-breath and the flat pause after it before the inhalation begins. So what I mean by that is the out-breath is going to be the arrow that's pointing you towards the pause. The rest, the all systems rest. Diaphragm's relaxed. Your intercostal and intrathoracic muscles are at ease. In fact, the in-breath is just happening on its own. You're not really focusing on it, and you can drop the counting if you're using it. What we're really leaning into is the relaxation, the ebb of the cycle. You can count those out if you want. Just drop the in-breath counting for now and just stay with the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. And on the counting now, on the relaxation phase, just really let any tension that you have just seep into the sofa and the cushion. And you don't really need to count at all if you don't want to. What the intention is here is to get you to dwell in the rest. That's good. Now, if you're following along and paying attention to that cycle, you can drop the counting of the pause even and just stay with the count of 4 on your exhalation. It's okay to get kind of muddy here. That's kind of the point. You're really just tuning into the softening. And in fact, that activity of the breath is just a small part of this greater kind of sense of softening. It happens, no doubt, but it happens from this very restful kind of space that you point at with the out breath. And you can drop the counting altogether if you feel okay with it. And the awareness becomes this kind of rest on which the activity of breathing is occurring and returning to. And each out breath is kind of softening into it, being subsumed by the rest, the blank. The quiet. There may be aspects of that available in other parts of your experience, even in your body. An absence of feeling. quiet in your visual field, sense of rest there too. And there's a chance here to even let your attention go quiet. Just let that drop. No effort. Not trying to track your experience, not trying to occupy your mind, just everything falls. That's good. No, we can, in times like this, feel alone. We have been held together by so many people. We are held by so many people who shaped us like clay. Who are with us always. If you'd like to visualize them, these people, you can choose one person or more. But as if they are in the room that you're in, holding you together in shape. There are many hands. Teachers, parents, friends, acquaintances, colleagues, mentors. As if right now they were supporting you wherever you are lying there, their hands underneath you, holding. Keeping you from falling, keeping you upright if you're sitting. And they walk with us, keep us wise. To each of them, living, past, a sense of gratitude. Acknowledgement. And as if we could pass it to them in this moment. A sincere thank you. Because of you, I know who I am. I know I'm going to be okay. Through what you've taught me, maybe I can help others even. I know I sometimes feel that way. Through you, I know I'm not alone. And I'll take what you've given me and pass it on as it was passed to you. So that kind of commitment to good feeling and goodwill, as if we could pass it to strangers far away. That silent wish, nor aloud. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you know peace. should have said may no rest. Gosh, I need to do over. So yeah, that's what my usual cycle is. If I'm alert and fixated on a million different things, I'll sit or lie, typically lying, give something for my brain to chew on. When I feel it's possible, I'll drop the counting or the object of focus, and then I lean into this kind of the relaxation phase of the breath, and there's a sense of like blank or black, an absence of stuff, an absence of the breath, an absence of maybe the talking mind and my visual space in my mind's eye, like blank, even behind the images, certainly blank in the back of my head, blank, 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 blank. Black, 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 black. Until I just kind of feel like the sinking, start with the sinking feeling, an absolute feeling of rest. And I know that even that, in the absence of sleep, is rejuvenative. So if I can't get sleep, and I often can, if I can't get sleep, I'm cool with it. I just enjoy sinking again and again towards that space. Hold my body absolutely still and just trust that I will be well. All will be well. My patients will be well. My ability to meet their needs will be. So from me to you, from one recovering insomniac to a bunch of people who probably, like me, are bouncing off the walls. All right, cool. Well, I will tune in tomorrow. I'll try to do it at the same time, but I'll be actually in the ER. I'd like to give you an update from there, and maybe I can return to the meditation later in the afternoon or evening. Note that next week I'm going to be on retreat full-time, 7 days, silent meditation. I think I'll break it for these once a day still because I think it is helpful, but I will keep you posted. Dope. Okay, ciao.